Hi everybody, I'm Sharon Gilmour-Glover. Thanks for joining me at Clarity for the Boss. We talked just in the last blog about our fear of being seen as weak or as a failure if we ask for help. Jim Collins, in his latest book, talks about the fact that one of the core competencies of successful leaders through challenging times is what he calls productive paranoia. He says that they are paranoid and neurotic. They're always planning for worst case scenarios so that when it happens, they've got the money in the bank that they can use, they're well capitalized, they have resources they can draw on. My colleague Jeff Reiner sent me a link to a TED Talk by an author named Karen Thompson Walker. And she, in a way, talked about the same thing, but she framed it differently. She talked about how our fears, if we reframe or rethink about what our fears mean, if we frame them so they become tremendous acts of imagination, our fears can help us almost influence the future. And so why don't we ask for help? Or why do we avoid when we do? It's because we fear something, and we've all been sort of taught, and I think we're probably hardwired, to turn away and run away from our fears. And in some cases that makes a lot of sense. But in a lot of cases, if we can stop and think of our fears as telling us a potential future reality for us, it actually gives us the lead time to make changes well in advance. Every year on Christmas Eve, almost literally every year of my life, I have watched the 1951 version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol with Alistair Sim. That story has been around since the 1840s. It's a story about a man who sees his past, his present, and a potential future. His worst fears are realized, and he uses that to rewrite his future, to write a future for himself that he'd rather have. That story has been around for as long as it has, and it's been made into numbers of movies and cartoons because it's so compelling. It reaches out to the core of who we are. So stop running away from your fears of failure in business. Instead, confront them, paint them out in their graphic detail, and then use that information to put contingency plans into place. We know in this environment something's going to go sideways. The more you can use your fears or be productively paranoid to look into the future, the better able you're going to be situated to respond and adapt when necessary. I'd love to hear about how you use your fears or productive paranoia to help you plan for the future. We need to get better at this, so please feel free to share your tips. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.